What's good, everyone? This is Dev the Coolest.
And this is Ray Bay.
And this is JB.
And welcome to Slick Talk.
Hashtag Slick Talk.
Hashtag.
Boom, boom, boom. To freedom.
To freedom.
Okay, no, we're not going to do this.
Oh.
Yeah, so what's good? What we talking about today?
There was a lot that has happened since our last Black versus Gay episode.
True.
In the media, rather.
Yes.
There's always going to be a lot in people's personal lives. But we wanted to revisit the Black versus Gay topic.
Which was actually one of our most streamed topics on our podcast.
Yeah, I like that one.
Like the first season.
Yeah.
Was it the first season or it was season 2?
It was season 1.
Was it season 1? I don't know, but we talked about it. It's been at least a year, right? Maybe, I don't know. You gonna look it up?
I am,
because I don't. Right,
but I think it was the first. I want to say it was the first season. Like
probably
was.
It probably was the first season.
I want to say it was like number 6, but nonetheless, what I was just saying is it was one of our.
Dang, we get to that point, we just don't even know.
Yeah. Actually, it was season 2.
Oh, it was season 2?
It was episode 2 of season 2.
Okay, so it was the beginning.
Shut up!
It just melted together.
But yeah.
So where are we gonna start? We're gonna start with Lil Nas X. We're gonna start with Malik. We're gonna start with Ellen. We're gonna start with the man that's been drugging black men. What are we talking about?
How about we start? I'm sorry, it's a lot to unpack. But what I do want to say is that I do think it's necessary because I feel like our listeners have become attached to us as individuals and who we are. So I would say that in any conversation, it's kind of necessary for us to talk about our individual kind of connection to what we believe to be black, our definition of black versus gay, and our life experiences individually when it comes to black versus gay. Yeah.
Come on, say it 3 times.
You could listen. There's a title. You know, we gotta get. But so yeah, just I mean, if we want to throw out a question as an example, and I think we probably mentioned this before in the first episode. Recently, have you had any experiences happen to you or to somebody that you witnessed where you seen them in a situation where they had to like choose their blackness over their gayness, or even still that there was a conversation that was in a junction to that, or a conversation that was had where you felt like you had to pick a side? Or a situation that you had to pick a side in your blackness or your gayness, or you were defending one. I know that's a loaded question. I'm sorry.
But I get it. And it's unfortunate that we have to do that in the first place.
Yeah.
Because we're all, regardless if you're gay, straight, man, woman, we all have parts that make up our intersectionality, right?
Yeah.
Like we have religion, we have our gender, whatever you gender yourself as. We have our sexualities. And to answer the question, yes, I've done it plenty of times where there's spaces it's interesting. When I'm in gay spaces, I choose my blackness. When I'm in black spaces, I choose my gayness.
Oh, that's really
like but I've also been with black gay people as well, and those are the most freeing times for me because it's like we're together, we're good, we understand.
Yeah.
That's the answer to the question, but it's unfortunate that we have to do that.
So do you have any specific situation that happened that you want to share, or you want to think about it?
There's not a specific.
Or that you felt like you were defending, like you.
I always defend because the thing is, like, there's a lot of people for me that are new to my sexual identity, or not sexual identity, how I choose to love, and I find them having to correct themselves around me. And then the first thing I tell them is like, well, one, if you have to correct yourself around me, what are you doing when I'm not here? Because if you're doing it naturally and I am here and you have to stop it, like, you should check yourself when I'm not here, right?
Period.
Right.
Yeah.
But then also with that, I'm like, I'm the same person. Like, look at me as a human being. But I've done that in both spaces. I can't think of a specific situation, but the situations are the same, or they tend to fall in line to be the same thing. Absolutely. And me having to clarify for people.
What about you, Ray?
For me, my life has been a cocoon for a minute, and I was trying to figure out how that happened, and I realized that I subconsciously made it that way. And it's being in spaces where it's with queer people of color, like, where I live, where I work, people are very inclusive. And there are these few moments, though, I realize, like, when you're in a Lyft and Uber, you strike a conversation with someone, and that's when you remember, okay, here's society right there.
Exactly.
Because you kind of put yourself to sleep a little bit. Not worrying about the issues of the world, because the world's on fire.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I'm just trying to find the shadiest little corner.
Okay.
And just
literally
trying to get through it. But then that's not real. Like, we have to fight. So I think that's something I'm getting myself out of my comfort zones. And I'm being very intentional in, like, correcting people. And also, no matter where, not even if I'm in your car and you're driving me somewhere. Yeah. I'm like, the risk is you could be crazy and want to kill me. But at the same time, I'm not going to put my intersection identity in the backseat. Yeah. So therefore, if a black person is speaking kind of crazy about, queerness or gayness or anything, I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna correct you right now.
Right. And don't take it personal. Like, the more you know better when you do better when you know better.
Just and also remind people, you don't know more than the person that's living it. Just to remind them, like, you have no basis to speak on this right now. So I think that's something that's really, like, but the thing is, you're shutting it down. It's about having a conversation because you really want somebody to be educated on the situation, but also be realistic that in the 15 minutes that you're with them, they're not going to change their mind.
No, exactly. It's life experiences.
Yeah, basically.
So the least I could do is,
if that makes sense,
stand up for my identity and stand up for my people.
Boom.
So
JB.
I don't know, just being like.
I thought you were. I'm so sorry.
I think it's part of, like, really accepting myself and loving myself, that I no longer feel like I have to separate myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be your full self all the time.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people struggle doing that.
Yeah.
And I think people just have to get to that space first before doing that.
You do.
Because I always wasn't this person.
Yeah.
Same.
With my frat brothers, with my family, like, I always had to put on a mask. But now, that I've done the work, I'm in the space.
For me personally, there isn't a black versus gay for me. For me, I am a black man first. I do identify as gay, but before anything, I'm a black man first. So being that I present myself as a black man and I'm also perceived as a black man, then me being a black man has literally control over everything that I do in my daily life. So I would even say necessarily a black versus gay for me. I mean, it is a topic and there's a lot to unload in that topic, but for me, it's more of a black versus black. You know what I'm saying? Because when I go into spaces, I identify and how I perceive myself as a cis black man. I don't naturally go into a barbershop and people immediately say, oh, he's gay. They probably immediately say, oh, look at this corny ass nigga, or they'll look at my shoes, or look at my lineup, or they'll look at something. Corny. Or I mean, just in general, whatever you want to say, they'll immediately go to those things because I have the privilege of walking into those spaces, being kind of masculine. So that's why moving forward, that's literally the struggle that I do, is a black versus black type of struggle, and making those around me just appreciate us being black and all being individual. Obviously, I'm proud of being gay, and there are times, I'm not going to say there's no times where I have to fight being both of them. But at the same time, to my initial question, I don't put one over the other because one is more powerful than the other. To me, in my personal life, people can say whatever they want to say. One is more powerful for me. One is more powerful than the other. I'm sorry. I'm gonna, I'm not ashamed of it. And if you come and ask me in the barbershop, hey, bro, you gay? Yes, I'm gay. Do you want your penis up?
Oh, damn!
No, I'm just saying. I'm not offering like that.
Wait a minute.
I'm not offering like that. I'm just saying.
Being gay is synonymous with being sexual.
I mean, why are you asking my business? You're asking like you want some services.
To that point,
well, I mean, asking like you want a service.
Well, no, that's an important point though. Like, why does it fucking
matter?
Like,
I'm a black man just like you. I'm just trying to get cut, bro.
Right. Like, I'm getting a haircut.
Exactly. Like why are you asking? I'm getting my haircut. Are you going to give me something? Right. That's the only reason why you should be asking somebody. I'm saying this right now. Their sexuality, what they have going on, is if you're trying to benefit them in their life because of their sexuality,
or you're interested.
A benefit. That's your interest can be
We are
their
benefits.
benefit.
You're right.
Yeah, their interest could be your benefit. So, anyways, I digress.
But so let's speak to like people. That, like,
sure.
So the first thing, like I said, I listed shit earlier, but Lil Nas X. So he came out as gay, or bisexual, but he initially came out as gay. It's an interesting teeter-totter, which is why sexual, spectrum is fluid. It's interesting that I love that he's still getting support.
Yes.
One, I love that he's still getting support. People are still into him, listening to his music. I was at the most hetero party last night, and they were playing Lil Nas X. Panini. Hey, Panini. Don't you be a meanie.
That's the only part I know.
I started both. But
I wonder if people can vote to that.
Hey, Panini.
No, they can't vote to it. Child.
If they wanted to, you could.
Hey, Panini. Okay, sorry.
Is that what?
My goodness. I'm lost.
But he's also, I know, we went all the way left. But there's also still the people that are constantly in his mentions or in his comment feed that are like bashing him for coming out as gay.
Yeah.
Like what is the fascination of people first wanting people to come out?
Yeah.
And then when they do come out, you try to
I know
bring them down.
it's
Like,
a double-edged sword with the society, right? It's like, oh, why weren't you honest about your identity? And then when you do come out, it's like, why did we need to know?
Yeah. Right.
You didn't have to put that down our throat or whatever. I'm just like,
so what do you want?
What do you want?
Live your damn life. Why are you worried about
I think it's really important to note, though, is that they think that there's a majority of people on his page that are supporters than the ones that are hating on him.
Yeah.
So that's dope,
usually how it is.
because that means that we're in a different time. Because back then, it would have been completely opposite. So I do want to give a shout out to the growth and that aspect of that. He has a lot more. Like, I mean, he's a gay black man, and then he was #1 on the chart for 19 weeks.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, he did.
Like, come on.
But also, what I want to talk about with Lil Nas X is now speaking on the gay side of it. Not saying that, I don't know even anyway. Blah blah blah. There is people are fetishizing him in the gay community. Like there are whatever black, white, whatever are looking at him and they're like, oh, he's a celebrity and he's gay. Fucking Bobby Lights, thirsty ass, like
thirsty.
It's just people like that make me like, fuck, like, come on.
But I mean, that goes with anybody that comes out that's a sex symbol. Because I would just think they showed
everybody's trying to be a power couple out here.
Well, I mean, not. But I mean, they were showing the baby. The baby was a sex symbol for the longest, but come to find out, he's in a whole relationship with a kid and everything like that. So I mean, I get your point because he's just, he's still young. He's just coming into his sexuality, and you're already like, oh, tagging on Instagram. But like I would say that goes part of just being a celebrity in general. If you have sex appeal and you look handsome, they're going to kind of like fetishize you.
Do y'all think that, like, generally though? And I'll give my response to this too because I know my answer. But in the gay community, when somebody that comes across as hetero, or we've always thought was hetero, or wouldn't think that was gay, like once they come out, there is just like a mass like attachment to that person.
Yeah,
I think there's a support. You always want to support.
Well, that's nice.
I mean.
Right?
No. I'm sure there's a sexual thing because it's like now you even more accessible, right? It's like when what's his name, the football player.
Oh, he came out as bisexual?
Mikey Sam.
Oh no, years ago. Okay.
When he came out as gay, there was now a big group of like gay supporters that still support him to this day.
Which is a conversation that can be had.
Right.
People could be doing that for publicity. But go.
But. I'm not going to speak on that one yet. But I think, yes, there will always be people fetishizing and there will always be people supporting. And sometimes the lines can be very blurred, right? I mean, if I don't think Lil Nas X is sexually appealing because I'm dirty and that boy is like
2.
Right?
So I do have, I have a question though, going back to, I mean, we're all on the same topic, but it goes hand in hand with black versus gay. Do you think he gets more support as a black gay man or more support as a gay man? I mean, excuse me, more support as a black man or more support as a gay man, even though he's, the same? Like, do you think he gets more support as being that?
I think he's going to get more support as a gay man.
He'll get more recognition, I think, as a gay man. But then you look at him and you look at Sam Smith, And you don't have to separate the two with Sam Smith.
That's deep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's just a gay.
Well, no,
artist.
I'm saying that
I wasn't saying that to your point. I'm just saying generally.
In the media, you'll see a lot of people say, "I still love his music. I still love that shit. I still love this." But in long career, we're talking about like, if I don't see black people supporting him in the long term as they support heterosexual celebrities. It's like, because it's the popular thing right now, I believe that is gonna. I mean, you will have a lot of black gay men supporting him, but
even in the world that's like, even in the society that we're living in now, where everybody's getting kind of support. Especially I think one of our biggest allies is a black woman. So I think that's also another component to him as well, is that, he does have a huge fan base, obviously from black gay men or just gay men in general that appreciate him because of his sexuality alone. But then you also have black women that are kind of like one of our main allies. And they're like, yes, sis, like sing Old Town Road. Yeah. It was 19 weeks, like supporting him in that aspect as well. So, I mean, could it die out if he has both of those core fan bases still riding with him 10 years from now and he makes a hit?
That's interesting to think about, because I've seen a lot of white gays support people for a very long time. And I'm talking about, like, when you look at listenership like and what happens in, like, especially gay clubs, what music gets played and what music is still appreciated to this day. But for black people, it's always a hot new thing playing at those locations. So you might have like an old school night. You might have a radio that gives you an old school situation. But when you look at music in the gay community, it's blended with everything old, everything current, everything in the middle. So, and in a, like, not even like in a conscious setting, but like in a not professional, but like in a business setting, I could see why black artists want to target white audiences and also specifically white LGBT audiences, because
that's longevity. I get that.
It is.
I totally get that. Our community is a little bit inconsistent.
Exactly.
When it comes to like supporting.
And you know what?
One artist that we've been consistent on, or two artists, is Michael Jackson. We've supported him to the death in our community, but he also, to your point, he found a way to connect to the whiter audience and the white gays and everything like that.
And at the time, it also it was
Beyonce.
like white audiences have the numbers.
Yeah,
know,
it's still today. That's why.
And
that's
also,
why
black
Taylor
people,
Swift, that's
we
why Taylor
have
Swift
too many
is getting
problems
more money.
to be like,
when you tell somebody, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
I'm changing.
Yeah. Okay, when you tell somebody that Taylor Swift is worth more than Beyonce, like literally, when you tell somebody that, they should not believe you.
Right.
They shouldn't believe you. That doesn't make any sense. But to Ray's point, that's where the dollar's at, because there's been a consistent fan base right there. And I think that, going back to Lil Nas real fast, that's where it's great for him, because that Old Town Road literally got him that fan base.
Exactly.
Especially when Billy jumped on the remix. On the remix, that also gave him a fan base as well. But we can't forget to talk about another person who was also very, and I'm gonna let you go to change the subject, but I think it's important to mention this person as well, because this person came before Lil Nas X, and we kind of don't give him as much
Chad
credit.
Campbell?
No. No. This person came, nobody talks about him in our community. And he faces black versus gay probably a lot. So I was waiting for you guys to answer. Baby girl,
let me try the boat while you
can't guess.
Bring up the... No,
his name is Todrick Hall.
That's what I said, Todrick Hall.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So he hasn't been like putting out like... I mean, I feel like his target audience is like the gay community.
Todrick Hall was...
Maybe pass. I want to.
Here's the thing, Lil Nas X. The reason why he's so successful is because nobody thought that he was gay.
That's another layer.
Nobody thought that he was gay.
That's another layer.
Todrick Hall.
He comes out drag boots down to the shoe.
Listen,
and I love Todrick Hall stuff.
I love Todrick.
I don't like him.
Lips,
I don't like his
I'm gonna give him his credit, but I don't like dude.
Hips, heels.
I mean, a lot of things about
like
he got the wig song.
Here's the thing.
And not even because of all that.
You don't like? Why you don't like him? You know him?
I don't like the person that he portrays to be. That
You know,
I see as far as
I want to
like
get to
that,
this
so.
question. I'm sorry. This is all related. Black popular gay artists not with another black man.
Dating wise,
Let's get into that.
And that's a great
Or their
segue
circle,
from
because
Todrick.
because RuPaul also
That's a
at the
great
Emmys, he was under fire because he didn't
Yeah.
have any black people in his
but
team.
you know what though?
And
It's
Billy
like-
Porter doesn't have a black husband. Do you guys
right.
know that?
We're also talking about black
Shut
people.
up.
Listen,
We're talking about black people that have also been separated from black communities as well. So if you look at
That
Todrick
is a-
Hall, where in RuPaul, where they grew up, it was like.
but do you
that's
feel
not-
like I don't think they're actively looking for a black community either.
I don't think so, and that's because they feel like the black community went against.
But that doesn't mean
not-
anything. I didn't grow up in a predominantly black community, and I only like niggas.
You grew up in the
Damn, like,
Bay.
put some
No,
force
let me
in
stop.
that.
You grew
Let me
up in
stop.
the
I don't only like
Bay.
niggas.
You
My
know
God,
I
don't.
And here's the thing.
What do you mean? I grew up in the Bay. Yes.
Here's the thing. I'm not
I date
excusing
everybody.
their choices. I'm just explaining the fact
date
that
everybody, yes.
these are people that don't feel like they have a community backing them up in their in their identity.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say sexuality, and their identity. So therefore, they already have a view of black people don't even fuck with me like that. So I'm gonna just do me, regardless of what the black community thinks.
I feel that.
And
I
then
feel that.
It becomes a problem though when they meet black people that are within the same intersectionality but tied to the black community. I don't know if there is a jealousy that comes with it, or just the fact that your
That's
mind no
deep.
longer understands the thing that you were telling yourself for so long because it no longer makes sense. This person made it untrue.
Yeah.
So I think that can be. I mean, that's something that I want to write about or explore or study.
I don't think Miss Todrick does that.
Come on, Miss
Todrick Hall.
I don't think he does that at all.
The thing is,
I think he's literally lost. Kind of, not to cut you off, but I just feel like
He
everything he
portrays
does is
that
just
he's
so
lost.
problematic. Like on a larger scale, like I've been following for a long time, and it's just like you don't have the biggest platform, but you have a huge platform that's attached to somebody else that does have the biggest platform. So I do appreciate that Taylor Swift, because that's who I'm talking about. I do appreciate that she got on stage and she shouted out the trans community, and you know who was being affected more on a larger scale is the black trans community, and she shouted them out, and Todrick was attached to that. But I feel like there can be a lot more done.
You know what I'm saying? To that point,
I'm sorry.
I don't like to rely on celebrities to be the voice
Same,
of everything.
same.
But I will
do.
say because they
I
have
mean,
a platform.
they have a platform.
Yeah.
That's
But
the only way that our voice would be heard
I think
around the
on-
world.
I think on a higher scale, though, BET can do a lot better.
Absolutely.
I mean, if we're
agree.
black entertainment
Absolutely.
television,
Yeah,
I
like
agree.
why wasn't any? I mean, there was a whole thing about them not mentioning any the number
At
of
the
trans black women that were
Black Girls
and
Rock,
at
yeah.
the BET Awards.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what?
But-
BET is not saying anything because they studied the demographics and they said we're not fucking with it.
Yeah, their
But
demographic
that-
is 35 and over.
but that's
No, I'm just
that's
kidding.
telling within
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, it is.
Like why do you have to be ashamed of it?
And
Because
also-
even the 35 and older crowd, they're LGBT as well.
If you
Yeah,
looked at any
that's true.
network, they're very slow to change because the mindset in there, and also there's a fear of, oh, we're gonna fuck up everything by trying to do something
Yeah.
completely new. So I'm not
can see
relying
that.
on networks like that.
Well,
Although,
I'm like, at an award ceremony, you can say something.
You can definitely, yeah.
You don't have to give a whole
You can
Noah's
definitely
Ark
say something.
show, but you can do
you
something.
definitely don't have to go in there and do pose and start
Right,
doing
you start
things.
voguing
But
and
yeah,
shit.
that's
like,
true, that's
Which,
true.
call awareness
which
to
I
it.
would say right
Or
now
a
on
commercial.
record, if next year they don't have something that's dedicated to pose at the BET Awards or some of these black
Yes,
shows,
after-
I'm going to be upset because then now that
BET
is
gotta do
literally
better.
black versus gay. Now
Yeah.
you're trying to separate the two when there are black gay men that are performing
And
those
won
shows and you're
Emmys.
not recognizing
And
them.
won
And they won
Emmys.
Emmys. Miss
Billy
Billy
Porter.
Porter went on stage and
You
he
know what
said
I'm
everything that
saying?
needed to
With
be
the hat.
said with the hat.
But-
Looking snatched, yes. I see you, Billy.
But I think, but that's going back to the topic of the episode. Like that within itself is a pure example of being black and gay.
yeah,
Yes.
We have a television network that shows fucking
Shit over and over again.
and then
Baby
trash
boy.
ass, right? Baby, that's what I'm trying.
Yeah.
Baby boy and trash ass voiceovers for cuss words. But y'all
Okay.
don't want to like recognize that we
Yeah.
are here too, and so that's what
We're here
I
in a
think
full force.
pushes people to kind of be like, well, shit. If black people don't accept me
Yeah.
and,
Yep.
and how I am, and I don't see it. Because when Noah's Ark came out, or when Karamo was on Real World, that I felt so validated.
I felt seen. I felt seen with
exactly.
Karamo. Yeah.
But now I'm like, the little kids now that yes, they it's social media and stuff, so they can get more exposure via that. But I think BET, and I'm holding BET accountable, can do a way better job at showing.
Absolutely. And right at this point, too, it's not even a risk. Because they think it's a risk. It's not even a risk. Look at examples. Pose is doing very, very well.
Right.
There's other stuff that are, I mean, Moonlight did really, really well as well. You know,
because these are stories that are not told, and people want to know.
Get in a different audience. Get in a different audience at this point.
People want to know, you know?
Instead of, and literally not doing that when everybody really expects that, not even people in our community. It's now heterosexuals that expect to be seeing some shit like this on BET at this point. Because the networks in general have tried to be more inclusive with the stories that they tell. It's like, of course, BET.
I also want to say, sorry,
no, you're fine.
Point, but I also want to say this is not in line with a quote unquote gay agenda. We had an episode about that, or we talked about that before. This is, we just want the general population to understand that we're here. Just like, I just want black people to put themselves in a situation of, like, growing up, you rarely saw black films. Like, we had black shows. We had Martin. We had In Living Color. We had stuff like that. But we weren't really represented, right? True. Put yourself in that space when you hear someone that is queer say that they don't feel seen. Or there's no representation of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still have straight actors playing gay roles when there are gay actors, i.e. me. And so,
and then put that at another, to take it another level and say, now how many black gay men are you going to see?
Right.
How many black gay roles are you going to see with people that are femme or even, trans?
Right.
This trans women could, they can start getting roles as women as well. They should be getting roles as there. So just imagine is what attached to that.
I just really hope that one day, I don't know if it'll be in our lifetime or when we're old and gray, but as a black community, because there's the argument, I know we got to go, but there's an argument that the black population hates when the gay population uses civil rights as something to kind of like elevate or use as an example.
That's so weird to me.
But it's just like, okay, well, the struggles are different, yes. And the reason why most black people feel like that you can't connect with the gay population because there's a white face attached to it. We have a struggle too. So put yourself at least in the very basic mindset of understanding that we are struggling just as much as black people are struggling.
Absolutely.
That's just
sometimes,
what I want.
if not even worse.
Right, because people are getting killed. Black people are getting killed. Gay people are getting killed. Like, just understand that it's not to compare the struggles. It's so that you can understand the struggle a little bit more.
Going back to what I said in the beginning, there is no black versus gay for me. It's literally, my concern is black versus black.
You know what? I think there's a lot of ignorance, and there's a lot of people that are not willing to learn something that they're not used to. But I have to say that if you look at mindsets of people that are activists, like the Black Panther Party, they fought for LGBTQ rights and for them to have their story written.
But that's not highlighted.
It's not. And that's also an agenda right there. Right. They don't want us to feel connected with each other. Because if there wasn't Black studies, there wouldn't have been Latin American studies, there wouldn't have been Chicano studies, there wouldn't have been LGBTQ studies. And they fought for every last one. Right. So I think it's very important to highlight that. So there are a lot of straight people out there, straight black people, that fight for all rights.
Absolutely.
And also, there's a lot of straight people that watch Pose. And they're going to another network that's, BET is not even black owned. That's why to me, that's not even an argument on that.
Right? Viacom owns BET, I believe.
Exactly. So I say to people that feel frustrated, build your own. Let's do this. Build your own. If you don't feel like a black business is not representing you, build your own.
Do it.
If you don't feel like a gay network or a gay business is, supporting you, build your own. Because at the end of the day, you can only teach them what they were missing.
Yes.
Listen, thank y'all so much for listening to this episode and hearing us and hearing ours. Oh, Damn. See, that, I told you to scoot your damn chair up.
Stop.
He over here knocking down signs.
We're gonna have to start paying for stuff, broken stuff up in the studio.
Oh my goodness. But
Yeah, he's okay though.
He's all right. Ray's fine. He's good.
I didn't fall anything.
He didn't fall. But thank y'all so much for listening to another episode of Slick Talk.
Yes.
Let us know what you think. Let us know your perspective.
Definitely.
Feedback, comments,
we're
like,
here to hear.
reposts. Reposts are only going. We're having a sale on reposts. It's going to be $0.99. I mean, actually
Zero,
$0.00.
zero, zero.
I mean, if you want to get a 99, you can.
Not a sale.
If you want to get a 99, you can.
We'll take the donation.
But we appreciate anything and
yeah.
everything that you guys do.
Yeah, for sure. And have these conversations.
Definitely.
Yes.
We love y'all.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye. Brr.
This episode of #Slick Talk was brought to you in part by Nexus Recording Studio. If you're looking for a place to record your next EP or your podcast, please check out Nexus Recording Studio, where the Bay records. Where the Bay records. Where the Bay records. Where the Bay records.